Hey, what's up, gang? Happy Saturday. Hope you're all doing well. I'm hoping to see as many of you as possible in tonight's live stream. But before that, I want to go over my best fits for the remaining free agents. Once this whole lockout ends, there's going to be a frenzy of activity. So don't leave without subscribing to this channel if you want to be updated on that. I say this on a regular basis, and make sure you hit the bell icon so that you know exactly when the lockout ends and everything that happens after it. So with that, my best fits for the remaining free agents. I'm going to give you one or two teams for each of these guys. And if I miss somebody, let me know, and just let me know in the comments, and I'll give you my best fits, in my opinion, for these guys. So, number one, Nelson Cruz. This guy's still getting it done in his 40s, but me personally, I think and it sounds as if the National League's going to adopt a DH. He would be a perfect fit in Miami. Okay, perfect fit. Now, but if he wants to join a team that's a little bit more of a contender, Milwaukee's the other fit. Also, National League also could be using a DH. Him in any one of those teams would be potent. Adding them to that young, dynamic offense over in Miami, or adding him to that already dynamic offense in Milwaukee, I think would be a great fit. In Milwaukee, I think he could make some pretty serious noise. They're being surrounded by Chris and Yelich and some of these other guys, and now they have Hunter Renfroe too. Like, that team's going to be good. That team's going to be good. Andrew McCutchen, my personal opinion, Los Angeles Angels and the Chicago Cubs. Either one of them can use another crafty veteran who can do a lot of things. He's a good teammate, a good solid player overall, still plays a pretty solid outfield too. And LA needs a bat. Chicago needs a lot of bats. So, Andrew McCutchen. Carlos Rodon, New York Yankees, and St. Louis Cardinals. St. Louis Cardinals need pitching. Yankees need pitching. There are other teams that need pitching too. Not as much the Mets, but even though the Mets brought in Max Scherzer, but don't be surprised if they make a surprise move as well. But the Yankees, he'd be a perfect number 2 behind Garrett Cole, and St. Louis can need another pitcher in that stable as well if they want to stay contending, especially staying up there with the Milwaukee Brewers in the Central and the National League. Michael Conforto, Washington Nationals, another bat to kind of build around Juan Soto, and they need a couple bats, but at the bottom line is if they're going to keep Juan Soto around, they got to build around him, especially if they're going to lock him up long term. You need guys, and he'd be a good fit there, a good fit. And Kansas City Royals, actually, kind of an underrated name, but he'd be another one out there, adding to Andrew Benintendi and a good solid veteran who can play a couple different positions and do some things. I think he'd be a good fit over in Kansas City, and they need a couple of guys. If they want to contend, they need a couple of guys. Kyle Schwarber, left-handed hitting, slugging first baseman. Boston, obviously, to stay there, or Oakland if they happen to trade Matt Olson. So I think he'd be a good fit there as well. And there's some other teams he'd probably be a good fit, and even going back to the Cubs, but I don't see them doing that. I think he's gonna get paid, and I think Boston, he played well in Boston. I think he'd still be a good fit there, especially if they don't sign Anthony Rizzo or do a trade as well for an Olson or somebody else. And Oakland, again, an affordable. Even though Oakland's not in the business of paying their players, but I think they could probably get Schwarber on a somewhat of a reasonable deal. He's still going to get paid, but they might be able to get him on a 2-year deal or something like that. And if they're going to get a lot of prospect capital back from Oakland, but I could also see them, obviously, back from Oakland in a trade with Olson, I can see them bringing in somebody like Schwarber. So, Yusei Kikuchi, who's with Seattle Mariners, obviously he's a good fit to go back to Seattle, but Tampa Bay could use another pitcher, especially with Tyler Glasnow coming back from Tommy John. And the Los Angeles Dodgers, another fit. They need some pitching, too. They're minus Max Scherzer. They could be minus Clayton Kershaw. They'll most likely minus Trevor Bauer, too. So they need some arms there. He need to be an affordable fit. Seiya Suzuki, Boston, I could just see him feeding off that green monster. And there's already inside scoop saying that they're kind of the favorites to land him in the Yankees. He'd be a great fit in the Yankees, playing in the Bronx. Another dynamic outfield, and it gives them options. I don't know if they're going to move Joey Gallo, but it gives them options as well. And personally, if you're going to either choose between Suzuki or bringing Brett Gardner back on a 1-year deal to be the 4th outfielder, I'm going with Suzuki at this point. I like Gardner, but I think it's time the Yankees is up. Trevor Story, 2 best, even though I have him predicted to the Yankees in my prediction video, his best fits to me are Houston to replace Carlos Correa or the Los Angeles Angels because they need a long-term option at shortstop. And you add him there to Trout, Ohtani, Anthony Rendon. You'd be adding some serious firepower to that lineup. And great defense to the infield, too. Carlos Correa, Detroit, I think, is probably his best fit. The team would probably be willing to massively overpay him at this point, too. And I hate to say it, but the Yankees. Yankees are the best, another great fit for him. Even though they have a pipeline of guys like Volpe, Trey Sweeney, Oswald Cabrera, But if they want to win now and they want to spend, that's the guy to spend on. So, and that's the bottom line. Even though he'd probably be universally hated, but if he comes over here and he plays well, just like A-Rod did, and he helps them win championships, all is going to be forgiven pretty quickly. So, but I could see Detroit being kind of the major. And I actually haven't predicted to Philadelphia. So my predictions video. So, Nick Castellanos, San Diego. He'd be a good bat over there in that outfield. Bring some necessary firepower to it, especially if they move on from Will Myers and Eric Hosmer, who are kind of on. Hosmer's on a total decline. Will Myers still has a little bit of value left, but a guy like Castellanos who's still young and who's still got an elite bat would be a perfect fit in that San Diego outfield and that lineup. They need another bat to go with Tatis and Machado. So I think he'd be a good fit there. And Colorado is another fit. So hitting bombs in Colorado, especially if they bring in some other guys. I don't know how much they pay him since they didn't really want to pay Arenado, but he'd be a perfect fit there actually. Kenley Jansen, closer for the Dodgers. I think he'd be a perfect fit in Philadelphia. They need another elite bullpen arm, and he still has, I think, a couple years left of good pitching. And the Toronto Blue Jays, they need another reliever. They need another pitcher and another reliever. And I could see him, signing with them right after this lockout's over. Chris Bryant, I could also see him being a perfect fit in Toronto. They need another bat as well as pitching. But you add him to that young, ridiculous lineup already of Guerrero and Bichette and some of these other guys. Oof, man, you add a Bryant to that who could also play multiple positions. You're adding some versatility and an elite player. And that really will make them solidify them as legitimate contenders in the American League. And the New York Mets, actually. New York Mets, another fit, in my opinion. And I hate saying it, but he'd be a good fit there. Again, his ability to play multiple positions and another elite bat. And they've already expressed the desire to bring in one pitcher and one bat. He could be the guy they could bring in. And that would really, really make him hard to beat. Clayton Kershaw, the obvious one to me is Texas Rangers, adding him to that stable with John Gray and some of these other guys, and with the moves that they've already done. I think they want to complete the puzzle and say that they're really, really serious about contending. Kershaw being a native Texan would be perfect for him. And the St. Louis Cardinals, like I mentioned earlier, adding Rodon, adding Kershaw would be another great addition. Adding both of them would be even more ridiculous. But St. Louis generally isn't in the business of making big free agent splashes like that, so I don't see it happening, but it'd still be a great fit. Eddie Rosario, dynamic outfielder who was money in the postseason for the Atlanta Braves. He Washington Nationals. You add him and a guy like Conforto, and you build around Juan Soto. You give him another veteran, a crafty veteran, take him away from an NL East rival. It could be a good thing. And Miami would be the other fit for me. Imagine adding Nelson Cruz and Eddie Rosario to that Miami lineup. Again, his ability to play the outfield well, good glove, clutch hitter. He's a good defender. Like he's a solid veteran to bring in for a team like Miami. Jorge Soler, postseason hero for the Braves. Atlanta obviously coming back as a perfect fit. And the Milwaukee Brewers, I think, is the other fit for him. Again, I mentioned earlier, a guy like Nelson Cruz, a guy like Jorge Soler would be another fit there. And whether it's DH or whether it's outfield or whatever, combining the two, that would be a good splash for them to make. And he's got a good bat. Jock Peterson, the LA Angels, obviously they need some bats, and he's a clutch performer in the postseason. He's a solid, reliable lefty bat. It also gives them the opportunity to maybe package Joe Adell or Marsh in a trade for a pitcher, a frontline pitcher. Just a thought, but he'd be another good addition in that lineup. And Miami Marlins, another good hitting veteran in that lineup would be a good fit. So Freddie Freeman, obviously Atlanta. Re-signing with Atlanta is to me the number one fit, but the Los Angeles Dodgers, I would look out for them too. Allows them to move on from a Gavin Lux or somebody like that. They don't have a long-term first baseman, and I have a feeling they're going to make a couple of big splashes once this lockout's over. So I could see that happening if the Atlanta Braves aren't willing to pony up. I mean, there's a chance that the Dodgers are going to clear almost $100 million in payroll just by moving 3 pitchers. They're going to have plenty of money to spend. So Anthony Rizzo, Boston, New York. I mean, it's pretty obvious. If he was with the Yankees when he came here, he'd be welcome back if they can't get a guy like Matt Olson here in a trade. And Boston would be a good fit as well. He'd be somewhat of an upgrade, especially defensively over Kyle Schwarber. So either one of those teams would be a good fit. Jonathan Villar, super utility guy. Milwaukee Brewers again. I see them making a couple of moves. He could be a good reliable infielder who could play multiple positions. And the Detroit Tigers. Solid veteran like that. Imagine bringing in Villar and Carlos Correa and a pitcher. They would have a hell of an offseason. So, Archie Bradley, Reliever, Texas. I think he would be a surprise fit. Coming back to Philly, obviously, but would be the other option. He was pretty solid in Philly. Bringing him back and bringing him back and bringing in Kenley Jansen would really solidify that bullpen. And going to Texas would also solidify their pitching, machine over there as well. You add a starter, you add a reliever, you add some bats. Like, it would really show that they're wanting to contend. So those are my best fits, in my opinion, for the remaining free agents. Let me know if I missed anybody. I'll give you my best fits for them. But I hope you enjoyed it. Hit the like button if you did. And again, if you like stuff like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I hope to see you guys tonight. Talk to you later.